So welcome to the Year 4 multiplication check meeting, and thank you very much for joining us. It is being recorded, so I think that will be available to watch afterwards if you want to recap, or for anyone who you know can't make it tonight. But that does mean obviously that your faces may be shown on the recording, so if you're not happy for that, if you want to turn the camera off. So we're joined by Miss Howarth and Miss Dixon, who you know are the Year 4 class teachers, and we also have Miss Kinch, who is one of our math leads and the Year 6 teacher and Upper Key Stage 2 team leader. So I'm going to hand over in a second to Miss Howarth, who I believe is going to talk us through the presentation, just because when you're sharing a presentation, it's really hard to see people's faces. So I think if we could just, if you've got a question, if you can hold on to it, maybe type it in the chat. And then once the presentation's finished, we can then come back to the questions. Otherwise, I know from doing these, it's quite difficult to manage all the different screens popping up. So type your questions or hold on to them into your head and we'll come to them at the end. Okay, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to hand over to Miss Howard.
Thank you very much. So I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger, so hopefully everybody can see what is on the screen, and hopefully technology is going to behave itself and everything's going to work. So we're just going to firstly start off with what the multiplication tables check actually is. So it's also referred to as MTC. So if you see that, it means exactly the same thing. So it's basically a times tables test that's taken on screen rather than on paper, and it consists of 25 questions. So on average, it shouldn't take any longer than 5 minutes. It is quite a quick test. And the whole point of it is to see and to determine whether pupils can fluently and quickly remember their times tables up to 12. And that's a really essential skill for the future, and it's also a objective that we have to cover within Year 4. The idea is that by the end of Year 4, they know all of their times tables up to 12 times 12. So due to the pandemic, this year's testing of the multiplication tables check isn't statutory, but Radstock, we are choosing to do it to make sure that children have this knowledge before they move into Year 5. So next, we've got a little video of some children who have undertaken the multiplication tables check and just how they feel about it. So I did test this just before and it did work. So I'm very hopeful that it's going to work this time, but do let me know if not.
I think it's a really good idea.
The multiplication tables check is the first digital statutory assessment designed for pupils in England. Announced by the Department for Education in 2016, the check is intended to support teachers in ensuring that all children know their times tables by the end of primary school. Schools across the country will be required to administer the check for the first time in June 2020. The check will assess whether Year 4 pupils can recall their times tables to 12 fluently in a series of 25 questions, and will take most children no longer than 5 minutes to complete. It has been developed working with over 2,500 primary schools throughout England. This has included extensive user research and trialling involving over 14,000 pupils over the last 3 years. Once the check becomes statutory, schools will be required to report the results to parents or carers. From the results, schools will be able to identify those pupils who may need more support with their times tables. They will also be able to determine how their pupils' performance compares to national and local authority-wide averages and identify any areas for improvement.
The team that put this together done a very good job. It's more exciting because it's on a computer.
I thought it was quite fun because it was a bit different to all of the other checks or quizzes that we do, because you actually get to go on the device.
It was fun because we don't usually get to go on devices, and we got to go on devices this time. I think the kids in school will like it. I'm going to tell all my friends.
Okay, so glowing reviews from those children, particularly because they get to do it on some sort of device, which the current Year 4s feel exactly the same way. That any chance to use a computer, they are more than happy to do. So, why is it doing this? One moment, please. There we go. So far, we have carried out kind of a practice check in the autumn term, and then we did a practice one a couple of weeks ago as well. And we've noted down the scores each time, and there has been a significant improvement from the autumn term to now, which is absolutely fantastic. So we are sincerely hoping that when we do the kind of more official one in June, that there's going to be another improvement again. So it's looking very positive, and we can tell the children have been putting in lots of practice through Times Table Rockstars and any other Times Table practice that they perhaps do at home. But it's really, really helpful if there's a spare 5 minutes at home or traveling to and from places, just doing some quick times tables, just to keep those facts constantly at the forefront of the children's minds. And that constant rehearsal of them means that they will really sink in and they'll be able to recall them far, far quicker. So the setup of the multiplication tables check, as I've said before, it is an on-screen check, so we'll be doing it on laptops or iPads, depending on which devices are available. And there are 25 questions, and there are 3 practice questions, just to kind of warm the children up a little bit. And they have got 6 seconds to answer each question. So it is quite quick. So you can see how it's so important that they've got that quick recall of those facts in order to answer within the time. And they do have kind of a 3-second bit of time in between each question before the next one appears. So they do have a moment just to have a pause and prepare themselves for the next question. The answers can either be typed on the keyboard or using the touch screen. Most of the children seem more comfortable using the touch screen, and that's absolutely fine. And they can press enter when they've put their answer in, or they can just wait for the time to run out and go on to the next question. When they press enter or when the time runs out, the numbers displayed on the screen are accepted as their answer. So if they haven't quite finished writing the answer, then whatever is on the screen is going to be accepted as their answer. So not only is it important that they've got that quick recall of times tables, but they're able to use the computer as quickly enough to get their correct answer in there as well. So we make sure that they complete it in a quiet space. So it's really nice and quiet so they can really concentrate on the questions that are on the screen. And we have, as I've said, we've done a couple of practices, but we will show them the setup of the page prior to the check so that they know what to expect and what they are going to see. So that's kind of the side of things from the children's point of view. And this is all about how the questions are put together. So the questions aren't in order of difficulty. They are all mixed up. And then there's generally an emphasis on the 6s, the 7s, the 8s, and the 9s, and the 12s. Sorry, I'm in a meeting, so can we not? Sorry, thank you. So the children won't have to receive the same question twice. They'll get a mixture of different questions each time. And there won't be duplicates. So for example, if they've had 3 times 8, they're not going to have 8 times 3. So they'll have a variety of different questions each time. If for whatever reason the test needs to be restarted, the children will receive different questions. So it won't start again with the same ones. They'll have a completely different batch. And the system will automatically score the check. So only what has been put in will be registered as an answer, as I said before. And at the end, the total out of 25 will be shown for the pupils to see. Okay. So this is an example of what we have done so far using the website that I've also posted on the Year 4 Google Classroom page. So I would strongly recommend, if there's a time where your children are on the computer, perhaps steering them towards that for a quick top-up check would be a good idea. So it's got the question, it's got the keypad here, and as you can see over on this side, it's got the number of seconds. So it does show the time that's available, which I know for some children can be quite stressful seeing that countdown. So the more they practice, the more used to it they'll become and the less stressful it will be. So it will have 25 different questions that they'll be able to type in. So the multiplication tables check will be a very similar setup to what you can see on the screen. So there is a booklet of information for parents that has been published, which pretty much says exactly all the things that I've just gone through, but I will also post it onto Class Dojo so that if you would like to look at it and read through it again at your leisure, then you will be able to do so. So I will post that just after this meeting has finished. And now if there are any questions, then I think probably typing them into the chat might be the easiest way. Otherwise, we're all going to be potentially talking over each other. But hopefully that gives everyone an overview as to what the multiplication tables check is about and how we are going to carry it out at school.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Ms. Howarth. I wonder if you could just unshare the screen so we can just see each other. That's a little easier. Thank you. So I don't think there are any questions in there. I don't know whether anyone has anything that they, oh no, did something just flash up? Okay, when will the test take place ideally? Good question. So Ms. Howarth, when will it take place?
It will be about mid-June. We will let you know the exact date when we've kind of finalised it and made sure that we've got the computers or the iPads or whichever devices we are using. But I will put a post on Dojo to let you know. We will let the children know so that they're all as fully prepared as possible.
And it's not meant to be done as a threatening thing like not that the Key Stage 2 stats are either, but it's not, you know, they're used to doing it in the classroom. It's just another of those processes. So they don't need to be prepared at home. You don't need to worry about what day it's going to take place. It's just, as I say, it's something that we're doing, although it's not statutory this year, it will be next year, and it's good information for us. Okay, does anyone have any questions and they want to perhaps raise a reaction to show me that they want to ask something? Okay, I think like Ms. Howarth said, the most important thing is children really having that rapid recall. So being able to whiz through counting 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 isn't quick enough. 6 seconds goes by so quickly. And actually that's the bit that they really need to know. So they need to be able to, you know, that chanting, so that when you say 7 times 8, they just give you the answer back. Having to count through on their fingers takes up too much time. Now, when we planned to hold this session back in summer 2020, we were going to actually get parents to have a go at doing this check, just to see how rapid and confident you need to be with your times tables. So if you fancy this evening, when the children have gone to bed so no one knows your score, going on to Google Classroom and having a go, because until you've seen how quickly you need to be able to answer those questions, do you know how important it is? Okay, but as I say, for this year, we're just using that information to see how well prepared the children are with how we've kind of set it up in school, but going forward it will be used as an accountability measure for primary schools to do. Will parents be notified of the scores? Miss Howarth?
Yes, I mean, when we did the check a couple of weeks ago, we got the children to write it down on a piece of paper to give to us. So they know what they have got. They're more than welcome to come home and tell you, but if for whatever reason that doesn't happen, we are more than happy to share that information with you as well.
Yeah, and as Ms. Howard said, there's not a pass mark, and as we understand it from a school's position, it will be what proportion of the year group achieve full marks, because obviously the expectation is all children know all their tables, because it opens the door to so much of maths in years 5 and 6. So and it's not just multiplication. When you're fractions, percentages, ratio and proportion, it's such a big part. So that's why they want children to be fluent. So that's the reason. So, Ms. Howard, you're going to share all the information, am I right,
Yep.
to parents if you haven't already, in terms of the booklet that was mentioned, and we'll make sure that this video, a link is sent out to parents once it's finished recording and downloading to either the cloud or a computer. We'll share that with you, and obviously you can get in contact with the teachers if you want to know specifically about your child and hasn't been shared with you. But that's it. Thank you very much for joining us. And as I say, have a go at it tonight. See how you do yourself. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you all soon. Okay. Thank you very much.
If you want our scores.
Thank you. Bye.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening.
And you. Thank you.
Bye.